today, hoping I don't get blown off our porch. I've received several requests from people to turn my camera around so you can see what I look at. And so I'm gonna do it, hopefully get it right. Tech savvy Jackie. Okay, so here is a view of what I look at, and I hope you see the ocean. And if you don't, sorry, that was our intention. I can't see because it darkens the look. I'm gonna come back. Hopefully, I'll come back. That's pretty hilarious. Where's the button? Nope. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, I'm back. I hope you caught your glimpse. Dina Flanagan. Anyways, she was one of the people that asked. So I hope she saw it. Friend, beautiful view. Okay, good. Renee saw it too. Yay, Renee. All right, so last week we began the series of Trusting God After Broken Dreams. We looked at the first principle, which means to be forewarned about trouble that's coming. And most of us say, you don't have to warn me about that, I know that. But then all forearmed, like being prepared. Well, the very next day after I did my little balcony chat, I was reading in 1 Samuel, and I came upon something that so proves forearmed, like being ready. And it was in 1 Samuel 17, people want to make sure I get the scriptures right, 1 Samuel 17, 32 through 37, and 45 through 47. And what it is David is brought before Saul because he said, hey, I can take out that giant, good old Goliath. And when he was brought before the king looked at him and he said, you can't fight that giant. He's a warrior. And he calls him, you're just a youth. Well, his immediate reply to the king was, hey, the Lord gave me the strength to kill a lion and a bear with my own hands. And that same Lord will give me the strength to fight Goliath. And the minute I read that phrase, it hit me. Every time you and I go through a crisis and we hang on to Jesus and we pray and we trust him with the outcome and we cry out and we hope in him, when we're doing that, that is actually not only sustaining us, but it's getting us ready for the next situation that is challenging. Consider that. Here's David guarding sheep, fights off a bear and a lion. Trust God for that ability. I don't know that I could fight off a lion or a bear except for by running and screaming. Fights them off, believes that God gave him the strength to do it, and it's the same strength when he looked at that giant Goliath. Thought, huh. In fact, it says David ran towards the giant and he yelled out loud, I'm coming to you with the Lord of Heaven's mass army. So he believed the Heaven's army was running with him, charging, knocking down that giant. So for all of you who have future giants to face, hopefully this pandemic, as you're learning to trust the Lord more, pray more, rely on him more, will get you ready for another challenge that will come maybe before the summer's over or this fall. The second principle we're going to look at today actually has to do with when you have a dream, a desire, a longing, you need to make sure in longing and dreaming that you give that dream, that desire to the Lord. I don't mean you have to kneel down right then, but you just in your heart say, oh Lord, I'd love this to work out, but not my will, but thine be done. Just give it to the Lord. It has to do with expectations that because your hope is in the Lord. Well, what's interesting about this situation, in 1994, here I go again, quote some old dates. In 1994, Ken and I were teaching a spring training Bible study for Montreal Expos and the Atlanta Braves. A lot of times it was more dominant pitchers that would come, but there were other players. But anyways, we were teaching when we were going to teach this material to the ball players, and we had a close enough relationship with the ball players that we were sharing something they could kind of speak out. So when we got to this one about you got a dream for this fall, this season, you got a hope, you got a desire, give it to God. Say, God, I give this to you for safekeeping. Well, the Expos all start in going, hey, this is the year, we're going to take the pennant, we're in the best shape, we've got the best team, and you kind of, Braves are all sitting there listening, I'm standing there going, hey, sounds great, but you bet, I literally said to the men, you better give that dream and that longing and that hard work to God because you have no idea what the outcome is going to be. Well, little did I know that on the news in August, they announced a baseball strike. And those of you who understand what that means, there's not going to be any pennant one at that point. And what cracks me up is I thought of all the players that I thought, oh, I do hope they gave you that longing, God, or they're going to be some mad boys. Well, the next year when they came back for our spring training Bible study, the guys from the Montreal Expo said, can we go over that material again about trusting God and giving him our longings and giving him our hopes and giving our dreams? They kind of got a little tutorial during the year. 2 verses I love in the relation to where's your hope? Is your hope that this pandemic's going to end and that you're going to come out of the financial challenges and that things are going to get back to normal? Is that your hope? Are you hoping what your governor rules? You hoping that somebody's going to bail you? No. Our hope needs to be in the Lord. Listen to this. My soul, it's like talking to yourself. My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectations are from him. That's Psalm 62:5. And another one is, and now, Lord, what do I look for? My hope is in you. Psalm 39:7. Well, I want to talk about when you lay your dreams down and let them go. Like you get kind of nervous, like, oh, if I let them go, what happens if it doesn't work out? No, you let it go. You give it to God, because there's like an infusion of grace, because it's such a faith choice to give your dreams to God, give your longing, everything you're aching for, give it to God. Well, I have learned my personality. Now, some of you are spared this, and I'm so happy for you. Some of you are like me. When I know that we're going to have a family get together, I get so excited about all the things we'll do, and when we see our grandkids and this, that, and I start planning all this stuff. I mean, you think Disney World's impressive? You see the inside of my brain. I plan holidays, family vacations, even get-togethers for dinner. In my mind, I just so ramp it up because I so desire communion with my family and those I love, and growing close and growing in the Lord. So I get all excited, and some of you are thinking, well, what's wrong with getting excited? I have had to learn that everything I hope for this Christmas, everything I hope for in a family reunion, everything I hope for with a vacation away with my husband, I need to take that hope and longing, and before I even get in the car, I get on the plane, lay it at the feet of Jesus. Oh God, I give you this dream. Forgive me for not giving it to you. Because every time I don't even think about yielding it to the Lord, when things go wrong, man, am I one cranky woman. And let me tell you, I knew some cranky men, because they got it all. They were so excited about what they're going to do with their beloved, and it didn't work out. So with everything so devastating, well, our expectations lead to resentment. So it's not like you're not supposed to dream and you're not supposed to hope, but you just, every time you think about, like, I've been dreaming about something, hoping for something, and every time I think about it, I think, oh God, I give that back to you. I give that back to you, because if I don't give it to him, I'm getting ready for a nightmare. Every time I don't give him a dream, every time I don't give him my hope, every time I don't yield what I long for, I could be cruising for a nightmare. Well, years ago, a friend of mine can go on the most magnificent trip, and when she comes back, she goes on and on about all that was wrong, all that didn't work out, and I think, man, girlfriend, you're lucky you even got to go on that trip. But I don't say anything. I listen, and one day I said, you know what, I think you need to talk to a professional counselor about all these things that don't work out and how terrible things are, awfulizing everything. Well, I told her of a counselor I thought she should see to help her work on some of these things about hope being in the Lord and not hope in how things should go her way. Things should go based on how much money they pay for it and how long they waited for it. So she goes to see this counselor that I suggested. And I told her, call me the minute you get in the car. So she goes to this counselor, and she's telling this counselor about this trip to, I'm not going to say where it was, but somewhere in Europe, and it should have been fabulous, but she just went on and on about what wasn't good enough, and they paid all this money, and this wasn't right, and how can people not get things right, on and on. And so when she was done, then she must have mentioned another trip in Europe. So when she was done, this counselor said, well, so-and-so, I can assure you you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. And her first thought was, wait a minute, I drove all the way up here to see you, paid all this money, and you just told me I'm going to be miserable? So my friend says, how can you say that to me? He says, well, you have never taken into consideration that you are living outside the garden. And out here, life on its best day might be a 5. You, because you have the wherewithal to pay for fantastic things, you always expect day 10. So when it turns out to be a 5, boy, are you not a happy camper. She said, my advice to you, and she calls it the 5 versus 10 theory, my advice is, when you're getting ready and packing and you're getting so excited about what's coming, pause, pray, yield all those expectations, yield all those desires. We call it fantasizing half the time because we're outside the garden. Things go wrong all the time. Who would have dreamed this was going to happen to America? Anyways, she said, you need to think about your trip as maybe, God, if you permit it, help me to be content with a 5. So if you go with that attitude and things go wrong, it doesn't knock you down. See, our expectations knock us down, not our circumstances. Did you hear that? Expectations is how I knock myself down. My circumstances didn't knock me down, is what I expected. Recently, I was looking forward to something because this pandemic has had its challenge, as it has for all of us. And I got really excited, which I forgot to give up what I was excited about. So I was so excited, and every day I was counting the days and counting my sleeps and so looking forward to it. And all of a sudden, 2 days ago, I was told, no, that's not going to work out. And I'm like, what? What do you mean it's not going to work out? And I was like, text the person out, like, what do you mean? And I found myself becoming so agitated, and it dawned on me, my agitation was proportionate to my disappointment, because then disappointment is followed by anger. So at that moment, I was so angry. I'm like, how could this be? How could people just arbitrarily cancel stuff? How can that just happen? And I'm kind of mumbling, not to anybody, even inside my heart. And all of a sudden, the Lord said, well, girlfriend, you planned your own nightmare, because I never once in all my planning, getting things coordinated to do it, thinking it through, know that our state, our governor is releasing, us out of captivity, whatever, never even thought, wow, Lord, I forgot to just give this to you, longing. And my pride allowed me to really get aggravated with my overinflated view of what I deserve after so many days of quarantine. So last night, I went out on this balcony. It was dark and a big storm was out at sea. And I sat in a chair and watched the storm. When the lightning would flash, the sky would be lit up. And then the lightning would flash, the sky was lit up. And the light in the darkness, the Lord said right in that moment, Jackie, you can choose to worship me right now, or you can sit here and keep whining about what's not working out. Poor me, I can't believe that happened to me. Give it to me. And right then I chose to worship, and I began to worship Elohim, Creator. He's the storm rider. He can speak to it and still it in a moment. But he said, I'm not going to still the storm. I want you to watch it. So I sat there for quite a while praying and thanking the Lord. And when I walked back inside, I walked away in peace, because I had yielded my expectation, given up my little dream, even if it was a daydream, let it go, and went from whining to worship in a split second. And when I pulled the sliding glass door open to go inside, my soul was absolutely captivated by God's peace, by simply choosing to worship when nothing was going to work out. Okay, so next week, I know that was a lot to pack in. Just think about the next thing you get ready to do when you get excited about it. Am I making this occasion a 5, or am I evaluating it as a 10? If you're thinking of a 10, move it back a little. Yield that dream, yield that vacation, yield that raise, yield that child, yield that house that didn't work out. Yield it all, because that actually is a form of worship. And next week, we're going to talk about how dog and cat theology impacts me trusting God. See you next week. Okay.